Now. Hey guys, it's Plant-Based Nicole Rashae with Plant-Based with Nicole podcast coming to you live on Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. PST. First of all, let me just say that today is my officially 12-year plant-based anniversary. 12 years ago, I decided to be plant-based and I have been going strong ever since. Yay, I made it. Hey, Raw Food Romance, I'll bring you give me 1 second. I had to get back off and then get back on because Instagram was doing something weird. Anyway, you guys, I have some special guests tonight. Raw Food Romance, Lissa, and Nate from Raw Natty Nate. I love this couple. They are like the bomb.com couple, okay? I've been knowing them for a few years now. I actually interviewed them on my season 1, and that's on my YouTube, episodes 1 and 3. So go check that out. I talked about their story, how they got into raw foods and all that, how they met. It's so cute. Their story is just so precious. Okay, you guys go check that out. Let me see. They're very big influencers on social media. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know them. And I know there's not a lot of people on right now, but you'll be joining and then watching this later. They have these wonderful cookbooks. I'm going to have them talk about the cookbooks. They have like at least 1,000 between the two of them. I'm just kidding. They don't have that many, but they do have a lot. And I'm interested to find out more about their cookbooks. So I'm so excited to bring them on. Let me just make sure I didn't forget anything before we start. Oh, and you guys, check out their page. Like, it's perfection. It's like something you would see in the magazines. Like, it's perfect. I guess, you know, Raw Food Romance, she is a photographer, so that's the advantage they have. But anyway, okay, you guys, Lissa and Nate, go ahead and let me just make sure I didn't forget anything. Go ahead and request. Oh, and you guys, excuse me, I didn't know I was going to get hungry, so I'm going to have to eat my salad as I'm interviewing them because I started getting hungry. Don't trip. Bringing them on now. Did I do it? Did I do it right? Hey! How you guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you? I haven't seen you. Oh, I see you on the gram, but I haven't seen you on Zoom or you know, video in like 2 years-ish.
I know, time flies. It really does.
That's crazy. It's so good to see you guys.
You too, Nicole. You too. Thanks for having us on.
Loving the puff.
Oh, the puff.
The puff is on point. The puff is on point, okay?
Thank you.
So, you guys, this is my 7th episode, and normally I interview my guests. It just depends. It could be about their story. It could be about things they post, you know, just getting more knowledge in certain areas. I interviewed both of them on my YouTube channel. So check that out, about their story, how they met and everything. So I'm not going to go into that again, but I do have a few questions I want to ask. And then we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to do a live Q&A. So you guys are welcome to ask questions. And I know it might go fast or I might miss questions. So if you don't want me to miss it, maybe enter it into the question box just to make sure. And we probably can't get to every single question, but we'll do our best. And I might be willing to let, you know, some people come on the live, but y'all better not act up and be acting crazy because I will block your behind in a minute, okay? Don't be coming here doing that crazy. Nah. But, okay, so, and I apologize, you guys. I just started getting hungry and I'm feeling weird and lightheaded. So I'm going to have to eat my salad as I'm going.
Good. Eat. It's so important to eat.
Well, that's like the hardest thing to eat when you're doing a video. Like ice cream is easy, fruit is easy, but a salad is messy. So don't trip, y'all. Just bear with me. So, okay, you guys, I know that I've already interviewed you about your story and everything. I wanted to ask you guys about like any advice you can give on like people who, like me, who have this like, you know, like I eat 80% clean, right? But then there's 20% I eat junk food. And I know you guys don't ever eat junk or processed foods, right? Pretty much.
Not really, no. I mean, we do have like the occasional Lara bar or
She's like, that's not junk.
That ain't junk.
That doesn't count. No, yeah, the thing is, I feel like it's become such a habit that it's not even part of our life, that we don't, like, it's really hard to explain, because until you get to the point, right, it's a challenge. But the habit
Right.
is such a habit that we don't even really think about it, I guess. So,
That's,
yeah, like if
that
we're craving something like sweet, we'll make an ice cream, but that's our default.
Yeah.
Right? We have a default that's different than what it used to be. And it really is just about changing the default of what you land back on, right?
Yeah, and ice cream is like still considered healthy in my book,
Yeah.
you know, because it's just frozen fruit blended up,
Exactly.
right? Because I told Jeanette this, Misfit Vegan, like I commend you guys for just being like 100% clean all the time. Like I'm 80%, but then when I go to birthday parties, events and stuff, I'm like, I'll have some, some special treats. Next thing you know, I'm up 1 pound, 2 pounds overnight, and then it's just. I just always commend you guys for being so strong and eating clean all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a random question. I wrote a couple of random questions because they're just things that were popping up in my head. But you guys are you familiar with how they say you shouldn't eat, like for instance, when you're making smoothies and you have spinach in your smoothie every day, and they say you shouldn't have spinach in your smoothie every day. You should change up your greens. Do you know why that is? Like, you would think that, I mean, this is a vegetable, this is greens. Like, how could this be a bad thing for us to eat every day?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about that?
Yeah, so basically it would refer to probably the oxalates that are in the spinach, mostly like spinach, chard, beet greens, that kind of thing. They're a little higher in the oxalates, but honestly, we aren't worried about the oxalates, but we don't eat spinach every day. We rotate our greens, and the reason why we rotate our greens is because we want variety. So like people who are eating like massive amounts of spinach every single day, yeah, I mean, we need variety. We got to get more different kinds of things in, right?
Yeah, people who are say cramming massive handfuls of spinach in their smoothie every single day, that could, depending on the particular person in their system, that could end up kind of working against them, in a way. That's where it is kind of, nice to switch up the greens. But I mean, there's not really a lot of people, I don't feel like, who are eating just massive amounts of chard beet greens and spinach.
And those are really the only like top ones that are higher in oxalates. But we also have a bacteria in our gut that eats oxalates. It's a special bacteria. But people who eat more oxalates, like not huge amounts, obviously. Remember, like there's you can drink too much water, right? You can get too much sun. So it's more about variety. And the people who do eat oxalate foods and they feed that bacteria colony, they grow, and then you can effectively eat more oxalate foods. Obviously, again, not overdoing it, but you have enough in there and your bacteria can deal with some of the oxalates as well. But the oxalates bind with the iron and the calcium in that specific food. So if you are looking to get iron or calcium from spinach, it's actually a good idea to look elsewhere for it. Not that spinach is bad, but that it's like add other things in, right? Like get some arugula and some dandelion and some radicchio and frisee and romaine and iceberg and whatever other, butterleaf, red leaf. Yeah, there's so
many options.
Yeah.
So many options.
Right.
Switch it up, people. No.
Yeah, exactly. Get the variety.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys that are on here, and thank you for joining us. Feel free to ask questions because I'm doing a Q&A today from the audience. So feel free to add your questions and put them in the question box. What would you say, either one of you can ask this question. What would you say to someone who wants to be 100% raw, but it just keeps messing up, keeps failing, and just can't stay with it?
Well, I would say,
like me.
I mean, I would say really like, why does the person want to be 100%?
I was going to say that. Good mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, And in a way, I don't know, I personally have kind of like, I don't know, maybe for lack of a better word, a hard time with the concept of 100% raw.
Mm-hmm.
How,
There's no such thing,
how is that really attainable? You go to the grocery store, a lot of the food is irradiated. You're getting mangoes from Mexico, they've been irradiated
Or heat
dipped. So technically they're not raw, or like a cashew, even though it's a raw cashew, isn't technically raw. I mean, unless you're living in the tropics and you're farming your own stuff, I feel like 100%, there's no such thing. I just really don't. I feel like it's so rare, and also really kind of unattainable for the majority of the population to eat 100% or fully raw. And then if they are trying to eat 100% fully raw, depending on where they are, they may end up being kind of mineral deficient because they're not including certain things because they're trying to remain so strict and so raw. So, but yeah, I mean, why? That would be the biggest thing. Why do you want to eat healthy, for one? Why do you want to be high raw or fully raw, for two? I don't know. What would you?
Yeah,
it feels good.
I was gonna say the same thing too. You really got to ask yourself why. What is the reason why you want to eat raw? And another thing too is that a lot of people are striving for this perfection for the wrong reasons, because they feel they have to, or they need to, or like for some reason outside of themselves, even though it's for themselves, they're trying to fit into some label or box according to online, or, you know, whatever, right? So there's so many reasons why somebody might think that they need to go raw, but when it boils down to it, it's that you want to, right? The want, because you can wake up in the morning and be like, I should work out, I really need to, I need to stop being lazy, I need to blah, 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 right? But if you're in that mindset, it's going to be really hard to actually work out. But if you get up and you're like, I want to work out, this is what I want for my life, I'm excited to do it, right? It totally shifts the mindset. And even just me saying that, you can actually feel in your body, you're like, oh yeah, I'm motivated, right? You kind of have to motivate yourself to do it if it's what you want. And do it because you want to, not because you have to.
I like that. I like that. Thank you guys for breaking that down.
You're welcome.
What's your why, people? What's your why?
What's your why?
Exactly. Benevolent Blizz says, can you elaborate on heat dipped? Heat dipped?
Yeah, so I mean, from the way that I understand it, when stuff's coming across the border, there's different kinds of bacteria and like fruit fly eggs and these sorts of things that are on the skin of some of the vegetables and some of the fruit. Well, maybe I don't know about the vegetables.
I think it's mostly fruit.
Mostly fruit, but so they put it through a process to basically like kind of zap it, so there isn't any, you know, bugs coming across the borders and coming into the stores. Helps with the fruit flies and that sort of thing. Not that it gets all of them. And of course, I'm sure John Kohler, our friend John Kohler, would be able to elaborate so eloquently exactly about heat dipped, but essentially that's kind of my take on it. I don't know. What about
that's basically what they do, is mostly mangoes, and anything that's being imported from other countries. There are some mangoes, and right now it's this time of year, the green keep mangoes grown in California. These are the only ones that we know of that are not heat dipped, and they're not radiated because they're grown in California.
Let me go grab one.
Okay. Yeah. So basically they're not heat dipped, but again, it's like they're still a mango and they still taste amazing. They still are a whole food, even though they've been heat dipped just for a few seconds. Then it's, I mean, these little tiny little itty bitty nitty gritty things that can cause someone to fall off, because I would rather consume heat dipped and irradiated mangoes because,
Then beef,
you know, totally raw or whatever you want to say. I would rather eat that than fall off. Yeah, this is one of them.
Then eat a real burger. Then eat a real burger.
Exactly. Look how big these are. They're massive.
That's mega big.
It's as big as.
That's as big as your head.
You think like because of how green it is, you maybe think like, oh, it's not ripe, but
it's perfect.
When it feels, it has like a feeling kind of like a ripe avocado, that kind of squish to it.
Oh, I was gonna say, is that right?
Yeah.
These things are amazing, but they're about like $3 to $4 each.
Yeah.
For us, and they might be more expensive depending on where you are. But I mean, I know you look at it and you think, no, that's not a ripe mango. These things are incredible.
Wow. They look, well, now that you're saying that, I can imagine it being all sweet and
Oh, they're
juicy.
so,
So
juicy.
juicy.
Like we're
So
eating
juicy.
them and we're like, it's like we're drinking it because
But
it's so good.
in saying that though, like say the heat dip stuff or frozen fruit, right? Like frozen fruit has been flash pasteurized. So technically, like, I mean, this is like for the purists out there. They're like, it's not raw, right? Whatever. You're doing better eating, just eating the fruits, the vegetables. I mean, we like to like complicate things so much, right? And
Right.
Or we have to try to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, who are we trying to impress? There's nobody who gets a medal for being 100% raw, right? You're making these choices for yourself, and you're going to choose these things because you care about your body and you love yourself and you know how you feel if you eat other things. So you're just really basically, it's a journey of learning about your body and what your microbiome thrives on and working to build your microbiome as well instead of being perfect. Because I get so many people who are like, well, you're eating this or you're eating that and that's not raw and you're eating too much complexity. Like they're telling me what I should do when I know for myself what is best.
yeah, and this is another one too, like the fear.
The fear.
There's so much fear porn out there, and we could get like so sidetracked and so scared about eating certain things, like, oh, you know, like what are they pumping into stuff to make it grow so good, and you know, and of course this can kind of derail people, but I mean, whatever. I mean, we all have.
You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect, and just strive to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
So if you're 80% raw, then that's good.
better.
Honestly,
If you're
better than.
about it, 80% raw is better than what most people are doing, right? Like we've got a serious deficiency in fiber in our modern world. Like only 3% or less of North Americans are consuming the pitiful amount of fiber in the RDA, which is 31 grams, I think. There's only 3% of people who are hitting that every day. That's not very,
I'm one of them.
that's not very much, right?
Yeah.
So like if you can start right there and then move forward, you're doing so much better for yourself. And of course there's always things to improve. No one's ever perfect. And that's why I like to call us unfinished masterpieces, because there's always something to work on. There's always something to change, but you have to work within what's available to you, your finances, your location, your social situation. Like there's so many things that come into play, and we can't be expected to be perfect, right? But the internet causes that. Like we want to be perfect like that person, or this person says that we need to do that, or watch out for this and be scared of that. It's a really hard world out there.
And really, what we should be more concerned about, rather than is the fruit pasteurized or is it heat dipped, or, you know, am I fully raw? We should be thinking like, look at the majority of the population is eating 4,000 milligrams of sodium every day. And that's that's even kind of on the lower spectrum. Like we would sometimes go to Chipotle and get a salad. We'd have the lettuce, 2 scoops of pico, fresh pico de gallo, 2 scoops of the corn salsa, which isn't technically raw, and then a scoop of guacamole. And we did the chronometer on it, and it's like 2,400 milligrams of sodium, which is essentially 1,000 milligrams or even 1,500 milligrams more than we should be getting, because we, you know, optimally,
1 meal.
500.
Yeah, in one meal.
Yeah, 500 to 1,000 milligrams for the day is like, you know, you're doing pretty good.
How much, Nate?
Anywhere from 500 to 1,000, 1,500 being like the lid a day. And this is one meal of a fresh salad at Chipotle. There's so much salt in just the pico, the corn, and the guac. 2,400 milligrams. That's 1,000 to even 1,400 milligrams more salt in one fresh salad. So the system isn't necessarily set up for us to be able to, you know, access healthy food. And that's where another thing, like, let's not be scared that the stuff isn't organic, all organic. Like if we were to shop at Whole Foods,
oh my gosh,
we're not like that wealthy, right?
yeah.
So we do the best we can. And that's what we're trying to
Yeah.
inspire people to do too. Like we can do all these mental acrobats about certain things not being completely organic or right from the farm. And then we don't even eat it. We just go get Little Caesars tonight because it's too much of a headache, right? Like I can't get all organic. Or we don't eat, you know, people don't eat
In general,
because
yeah.
they're scared of, you know, having something that isn't completely raw or completely all organic. Or that's the part that's like, I don't know. It's sad because it's like, hey man, it's not about like being 100% raw foodie, raw vegan. Like if we're eating like you, Nicole, 80%, you're kicking butt out there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because like that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, hey, if you can do 80% and then you got another, say 15% cooked whole food, plant-based, maybe like low oil, minimal amount of salt. And then that leaves you 5% to like maybe go have some wine and some fries with your girls on the weekend or your homies at the bar or whatever, right? I mean, some people can handle that. It is a slippery slope, right? If you start letting stuff in like that, maybe you're like, well, Wednesday we're going out too. Maybe I'll get a pizza then too, right?
Right. And then you just end up.
Yeah. You really have to like be aware. And that's what I'm learning in a book called Mindful Self-Discipline is really the awareness and taking all the emotion out of the choice and actually just looking at the choice logically. Like, is this going to get me to my goals or is this just an instant gratification? And just with that and be like, I would rather go towards my goals, but have no guilt, no resentment, no shame, no FOMO, none of that. Like get the emotion out of it and just look at it with an open heart and awareness. What is best for me long term? What's going to keep me going towards my goals or what have you? And then that's what you choose, just out of basic logic. And I saw in here someone who said that they didn't like the food religion. And I agree. It's like so many people are so intense with certain things and the stress of trying to be perfect, like you can have the most perfect diet in the world according to whoever on the internet, but if you have a bad relationship with food and with your body, then it's like, what's the point, right? Like, yeah, we're eating healthy, but our mindset isn't healthy.
Toxic.
Yeah.
I have a question I'm going to read. Thank you guys. I love that. You guys are breaking it down really nice. And those of you who joined in, I'm so sorry that I'm eating this salad. It's very tacky because it's like I gotta cover my mouth. But I'm feeling weak. I got hungry like right at the time the live started. I have the salad already made.
We're proud of you, Nicole.
See, that's the thing. I feel like people are so worried about, you know, eating, or we're diet culture has us like under eating. And
I'm like,
not
should I
eating
cut this
enough?
mango? We'll eat with you.
Cut it up, Nate. Cut it up.
We just had a massive salad, like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or so before we got on with you. So we are both like pretty full, but hey, like I said,
love it.
good on you.
It's all mixed in.
That's another thing is sometimes we're so busy and we're not taking care of ourselves. So therefore, like, that's why I say we're proud of you. Like you didn't cancel the live and you care about yourself. You love yourself. You're going to eat. Somebody said, I think I saw a comment saying, we love the mukbangs.
Yeah.
So it is so good to be eating.
And someone, Gone with Kate says, we love mukbangs, nothing tacky about it.
Yeah.
Don't cover your mouth, you're fine and human.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, that's interesting. Like, if we were all sitting around at a table, we wouldn't be worried. We'd be all eating together and it'd be normal. Yeah.
Talking smack about the world and all that, you know.
Nate, go get a knife and cut that mango up. Okay. There's a question here. Sar Uki, she says, or he, sorry. Lately, I have been having so much bad calories and bad carbs, gaining lots of weight and super unorganized. Can you help with a way out of this cycle, weight gain?
Well, one thing I would suggest, you were talking about our books. So we've got books, right? And these are some of the books, and something like, I feel like something like this here really is nice because you don't have to think about it.
Which one is that? Let me see.
That's the meal plan volume 3.
Volume 3.
No dehydrator needed, just a high-speed blender. And what I like about something like this, like if people don't know our story, I became a raw foodist and got on YouTube and was like binge watching YouTube, trying to figure out a plan and how to eat raw. And that's how I found her. I found her on YouTube and I was like, whoa.
Yes, you guys.
I was like, this chick is dope. I like, all right. And she described things that were resonating with me. You know, I mean, we can go to like super extremes. You know how we want everything like immediately. You know, we want liposuction or we want to take a pill for something. Like I understood something's going to take a little time, but I wanted to build a relationship with my food. And so her name, maybe it's backwards, Raw Food Romance. It made perfect sense to me. I was like, wow, she's building a healthy relationship, like a loving relationship with raw food. And so a meal plan, I bought her meal plan, volume 1, this is volume 3. And that for me, I did what she told me to do, which is just tell myself every single day when the cakes and the cookies come in, you know, at work, it's Bethany's birthday and they brought cake in. You just tell yourself, thank you guys. I love you. Happy birthday, Bethany. But I'm a raw vegan today. I'm a raw vegan today. And we just take it day at a time, one day at a time, right? And eventually you start to like recalibrate your taste buds and you're like, you know what? You start to, another really excellent tip that she gave me was, she would say, I would think of these certain products like pizza as a discontinued item. You can't buy it anymore.
Ooh, I like that.
Or she would also say like a cupcake. It's just like a pretty air freshener. Like, yeah, it smells good and it's pretty, but it's not like food really, like, you know, essentially, because of course it feels amazing right here, right? When you're chewing it up, like smashed in your mouth. But as soon as you swallow it a little bit later, you're like, dang it, I was doing so good. And I ate this cupcake. But then again, this is another part that I kind of like a lot of people struggle, and guilt and shame is worse than having the food. So if you're going to have the cupcake, say you do want to have the cupcake, don't beat yourself up over it. Enjoy the cupcake. Be present with the cupcake. Be present with the scenario that you're eating the cupcake. But it's a slippery slope. We know. You let the cupcake in, the next thing you know, you're like, oh, look, they've got cupcakes on sale. You know, that cupcake was good. I'm going to buy some cupcakes. So we got to be careful, but that's another thing that's tricky. So the meal, you know, to answer the question, for me personally, I just needed a plan to follow. And what I liked about her book was there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Every single meal is different. So essentially, there was 90 recipes in there, 30 breakfasts, 30 lunches, 30 dinners, with the shopping list and all the tools that I would need and special ingredients I would need to make it work. And it took the thinking out of it for me. All I had to do was remind myself every day, I think of my why. Why do I want to do this? I don't want to be on medications. I don't want to spend time having to drive to the doctor's office. I don't want to be able to not move and go skiing or play or laugh, you know, or I want to be able to sleep at night without having to wear a CPAP machine. That's my why. And then I'm a raw vegan today. And of course, not everybody needs to be a 100%, like we're talking about the 100%, 100% raw foodie, 80%. Nicole, if you're eating 80% of your calories from raw food, in my book, personally, you're a raw foodie. 80%.
Yeah, it's right? It's all like labels and definitions and whatever. It's like, does it really matter in the end? It's about what you're doing for yourself. And
raw food romance.
Yeah, this is Meal Plan Volume 3.
So you've got all the goodies here, her stories. And what's cool is if we were to dial in, you've got, you know, day 5 breakfast, day 5 lunch, how to prepare. If you just follow the days, there's the dinner, maybe how to prepare for the next day. You know,
she makes it easy for
so
you.
easy. It just takes the thinking out of it.
Yeah. And also, when it comes to procrastination, like we are master procrastinators.
Master.
Like
I'm a master.
Humans are like so good.
I got my certification coming.
So we know how to procrastinate. Like we're skilled at procrastinating, and we procrastinate things that are good for us, things that we need to do, things that are important in our lives. We procrastinate all this stuff. So we can use procrastination to our advantage and procrastinate on the foods that we want right now or whatever, right? The cupcake, for example.
Love it.
Be like, I'll have that later. Because when you say the word later, you don't have a set date. It could be never.
Yeah. And you're not you're not saying I'm never going to have a cupcake ever. You're just like,
saying, I'll have it later. I'll have it another time.
Yeah.
But today is the day, because today's the only day that really matters anyway. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed 100% perfect healing. We're all going to age. We're all going to die. Like, today is the day that matters. So it's like, do the things, become the person who does the things that you want to do in the future. If you are blessed enough to get a future today, right? So use procrastination to your advantage.
And another thing,
like when you say you want it later, then by time later comes, you might not even want it anymore. Yeah. And you're just like,
and another thing too is like using our words properly. Instead of, saying I can't have that. No, I can't have that. I can't have that. We say, I choose not to have that. Ooh, that looks good, but I'm going to choose not to have that today.
Yeah. Because that puts you in control of your choices. When you say you can't have a piece of pizza, it means the pizza's in control of you, because you can't have it and you're like in prison or something or whatever, right? But when you say I choose not to have the pizza, you're in control. You choose. And we all know we choose. We're the ones.
Another cool thing is 80% of the enjoyment of food is through what we smell. Right? Like, when you have a stuffy nose, you can't taste the food. So there's nothing wrong with, say, smelling some delicious Italian food or some fresh baked bread when you're walking outside the bakery. Lisa and I will stop on the sidewalk and just stand there for like a good 30 seconds and take some deep inhaled breaths. And then you can imagine, you imagine eating a bagel. Like, it's not that enjoyable. Sure, a little crisp crunch with the butter, because we have the frame of reference. But then it's just kind of doughy and it feels funky when it's in your stomach. And you're like, what did I really gain from that? There wasn't too much nutrients there, but the smell is so enjoyable. So
it's like an air freshener.
It's like, so sometimes we just stand there and we'll go by this Italian place and I'm like, we'll stop. It's just like, oh, that oregano and like this pizza sauce or the tomato sauce and stuff, right?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying the smell. Like, there's a lot of people who be like, oh, that means that you want it or you're craving it or whatever. It's like, you can't just enjoy a smell.
Just a smell, right?
Like, that's what air fresheners are, but that doesn't mean we eat them.
These are all tricks. These are all tricks, just to stay on point. Yeah. Anyways,
stay on point. I don't know if aesthetics is still on here. That's my girl. That's my friend. Where did her question go? I think she was referring to the mangoes, and she was saying you got to be careful. Dang it! Oh. I don't know what just happened to all the comments. Okay, but now I can't find it. So she said something about be careful because sometimes they pump fruit, I guess, with hormones and things. And she was saying something about the mango being so big. Do you think that was?
This is the actual natural size. These are organic.
And these are organic from Whole Foods. We spent $4 each.
Yep.
Whatever they're pumping into these, they're pumping pure love into them, because look at these bad. You know what? There's over 50 strains of mango. I don't even know, 80?
Or I think 100 or something.
100? There's so many different kinds of mangoes. This is just one. Some mangoes are really big, some are small, some are different colors. And that again, I don't know. I mean, not to say that there's not some truth to what's being pumped into certain crops to be able to get the most yield out of their particular crop or to protect it from certain bugs. But those are the kinds of things that can also help us with the mental acrobats and make us, because, that's in a way, I don't know, I feel like that's a form of fear, totally. We're all like, we're swimming in EMFs, the air's, not the cleanest, the water, we could sit here and drive ourselves so crazy to where you're like, I want to commit suicide. I don't even want to live here anymore because everywhere you turn, we're being poisoned.
And then you're being judged by other people
Yeah.
on top of that. And it's like, we already live in an imperfect world.
Yeah.
Like, we're just trying to do the best that we can. And a lot of people cannot afford to eat all organic. And it's like, I would rather see people eating whole food conventionally and be able to afford enough calories to sustain themselves and get a good variety and feed their gut than to be eating, cheap junk because they just can't afford it, right? Or they're under eating. Like, I know some people who have tried so hard to eat only organic, but they can't eat enough calories because they're like, well, I can only afford X amount of calories, but it has to be organic. So then they end up under eating.
Or they eat organically processed foods.
Yeah, organic processed, which is another story. But it's like they're not eating enough, so they're not getting enough nutrition. They're not getting enough variety.
Yeah.
And then eventually they end up potentially going back to animal products because they need dense calories because they just haven't been eating enough of them.
They need some nourishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, guys. I have someone that's requesting to join. This is my first time doing this, and I don't even know if they're still on, but I'm going to go ahead and accept so they can ask you a question. Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure.
This is my first time doing this during my episode, so this is new for me.
Cool.
I don't know if she's still there or he.
Maybe it'll work.
Cat Sweat, I'm bringing you on. Are you still there?
Bringing them on.
Now, how does it work? Like, I push accept, and then what happens?
I think they
it should just automatically pull them in. Yeah. But they might not be on anymore.
Okay, well, while she is, if she's going to come on, is there anybody else that wants to come on and ask a live question? A live question. Is that a question to them? You know what I'm saying. I'm trying to scroll through these comments because accept. Okay. Cat Sweat, I'm bringing you on. Karen Carter, you're on the air. No.
On there. Please talk about the dehydrator I see here.
Where you at, girl?
Well, maybe while we're waiting, if they're coming in.
Yeah, we can talk about the dehydrator.
Yeah, we can talk about the dehydrator. So a dehydrator, if anybody out there who doesn't know what a dehydrator is, it's basically a different way to dry out food. Dry out fruits and dry out herbs and
you
vegetables.
can also get some pretty fun things going on in there, right? Like marinating vegetables, like marinating in a sauce. You can, like, for example, we had soup today, raw soup. Yeah,
and you can condense sauces. Yeah, she made a raw soup today. Marinated some veggies, some sprouted peas, and what else did you have in there?
Yeah, there was asparagus, tomato, onion, pea, and then after I marinated that, I added some sprouts because I don't really like putting those in the dehydrator. They get a little too dry. But those I marinated in the dehydrator for about an hour and a half. And then after that, you put them in a bowl, you blend up your soup base, and you pour that in there with it. And you've got yourself a delicious raw soup.
And you blend the soup base in your high-speed blender for a couple minutes, and it warms it up to where it's actually like a warm soup.
Yummy.
It's not like burn your mouth hot soup. Because you know how when you burn your mouth, like that ruins a couple days, right?
It's kind of warm, right?
Yeah. And this is my soup book. It's got raw soup recipes in here. There's all kinds of really delicious, yummy ones.
But dehydrator is really fun. A dehydrator, in a sense, is kind of like the raw foodie's oven, is what we say. It's the raw foodie's oven because you have control of the temperature. You can bring the temperature real low, around 100 degrees, and 110, 115, and you can keep it raw. It doesn't like reach such high temperatures to where it actually cooks stuff. It's really fun to make crackers and kale chips and certain things. We do, all kinds
of so cool.
stuff. But
I made little, well, they weren't banana chips because they weren't hard like chips, but they were chewy.
Yeah, and if you marinate the banana coins in maybe like a date paste of some sort with like a little cinnamon and nutmeg and then throw them in the dehydrator, or if you want a little cayenne pepper in there too, you can have a lot of fun.
That's better than a cupcake.
Right? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Okay, let me see. Let me try. Mind Ascension, are you still on here? I'm going to accept you.
Yep, and fruit peels, I see somebody say. I know there's so many things you can do with a dehydrator.
Yeah, dehydrators are pretty fun.
It's basically, like I said, it's like an oven, a conventional oven.
Hey!
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 Hi!
How are you?
Thankful and grateful. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Mine Ascension, and as we speak, I'm literally cooking. Well, I'm literally preparing my cauliflower. I'm preparing some cauliflower, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to batter it, and I'm going to oven fry it. And I'm also making some brown rice with it that I'm going to fry in some grapeseed oil and make a stir fried with some frozen vegetables. I know that I'm not using the highest and the best stuff, but I just wanted to say one thing. I think one thing that we're missing from this journey of health is the spiritual aspect. Because one thing that I've learned on my journey, and I might not look to the epitome of physical health, but I can tell you one thing: I feel great, I feel healthy, I feel young, and I test myself by challenging young people every day with my job that I do. But one thing that I never hear a lot about is the absolute fact, which has been scientifically proven by Japanese scientists, is that when we speak into our food, when we speak into our water, when we speak into our juices, that we actually can create an encoding in these things before we consume them. And one thing that I've practiced for some time now is when I make water, and when I say make water, what I'm saying is I'll use a specific alkaline filter, then I will steep lemons or limes or key limes. I'll squeeze them into the water after I filter it, and I literally speak loving things into my, let me show you guys real quick since I'm here. I use glass for everything. And what I do is I put my water in glass, and then I speak into the water, and I say everything that I feel that I want to receive from drinking that water: youth, immortality, strength, power, and health. And then the funny thing is about it, it's so interesting when you experiment like a scientist, because you actually start to taste the difference and feel the difference when you add this mental / verbal command to the natural elements of nature. Because Mother Earth, or Mother Nature herself, is always listening to her children. And you know, we keep talking about calories and protein and vitamins and iron and all these different things, but I never hear people talking about how powerful it is, and I'm just using this word for lack of a better one, to say a prayer over your meal.
I do anytime.
To speak affirmations over the round plate that represents the sun, and over the natural greens on that plate that represent the earth, and over the water that you drink that represents the water, and over the air that you breathe that represents the air with every breath that you take. And one last thing I'm going to say before I shut my big mouth up, because I have a very big mouth. We keep thinking.
What's your question for them?
Yeah, well, I was loving what I was hearing, but I just wasn't hearing things that don't seem to be common today. I'm over here burning my. By the way, I make my own stock. I make my own vegetable stock, and I use vegetable stock to put flavor in my vegetables. But anyway,
that's very important.
Yeah, you're so right, because like Masaru Emoto, right, who does the hidden messages in water,
Japanese scientist, yeah.
right, where exactly, it's really amazing. And I think that there was also a thing in What the Bleep Do We Know, a documentary, or like a What the Bleep Do
The
We
guy
Know?
was eating McDonald's.
No, I don't think so. It's called What the Bleep Do We Know? And then there was another one called The Secret. But they did pull out those studies where they would put the water on say like a picture of like a waste dump or a picture of a sunset, and it would change the molecular structure of the water, as well as, like you said there, you bless the water. Just our own thoughts, and quantum physics is showing this. We're changing the molecular structure just by our thoughts. But one thing though, I have and I 100% feel you, bro. 100%. The sunlight energy is feeding the plants. When we eat the plants, especially in their, say non-altered states, more that, not to say that all cooked food is poison and it's, you're going to toxify yourself and stuff. But we do understand that the sunlight energy is in the plant. We eat that plant in its raw form. We're going to get that pure sunlight energy and the other nutrients quicker to us, as well as the blessing. But one thing I do have an issue with this is I used to hunt and I used to fish and I used to say prayers over my food. And that's kind of an interesting one, because no matter how much we pray over, let's say some fish or some steak, some cut up cow or some swine, some pig, it's still, there's laws that take place, right? So even though we might make ourselves feel better about blessing the food, there are repercussions that can still transpire when we ingest these sorts of foods, foods that maybe are not plant foods, right? Like, it doesn't matter how many times we say blessings over our hams. Like, look what's happening to us, medical field, what's happening with, heart disease and diabetes and colon
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing, good brother? I really do understand what you're saying, and I do agree to an extent. One thing I will say, by pure observation alone, I cannot speak for anybody else. I cannot speak for you two as individuals, but one thing I can speak for is myself, by observing many forms of humans in the years that I've been doing what I've been doing, because I did 10 straight years as a strict vegetarian. Then I did the raw vegan. I tried everything to a certain extent. But then also, not only did I try everything personally, but I recorded other people. Now, here's the thing. My grandfather, and I put this in the comments, my grandfather, amongst many of my other family who are from the Caribbean. Now, I can't speak for people that don't know this. If you don't know this, you don't know this. But if we look at people from where we call third world countries, like my father's from my father is from Dominica, and that's called the Centurion country, because everybody there makes it over 100 years old. You have many places on earth that they call Centurion places. In Asia, they have many of them as well. Africa, of course, they have many of them as well. But my point is, these people that make it over 100 years old, and when I say make it over 100 years old, I'm not talking about hospitals. I'm not talking about ventilation systems. I'm not talking about medication. I'm not talking about healthcare. These people have nothing. They have nothing. And they are living past 100 easily. Why? Because they live by a simple aspect of moderation over nutrition. What do I mean by that? We have been taught in American society that we need 3 meals a day. Lies. Lies. We have been taught in American society that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Lies. Because as soon as you put real food, and when I say real food, I mean physical food that your body has to physically digest. I'm not talking about juices. I'm not talking about water. I'm talking about food that you have to chew, and your stomach acid and your amino acids have to digest. We've been taught in America that you have a pyramid of 3 meals a day, and those 3 meals all have to do with meat. And also, the most important meal is breakfast, which is the biggest scam ever, because your best breakfast food is lime or lemon water or raw juice.
Sir, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I apologize.
I appreciate your words, but you're taking up the live, and this was just supposed to be one question for our guests. So I appreciate what you're sharing. God bless you.
Thanks a lot.
And thank you.
Let's bless our food.
Yes.
We gotta bless it.
Okay.
We gotta bless it up.
That went different than I expected. I do appreciate, people sharing and stuff, but you guys, let's keep it to one question so that other people can ask questions and not, take up the whole live. So thank you, brother. If you're still watching, God bless you. Keep praying over your food. I pray over my food. Everybody do what you do. It's all about what you feel is best for you. All right. So thank you, Lissa and Nate.
Sure.
No worries.
Did you see any, let's see, let me scroll and see if there's any.
Histamine, and I kind of wanted to answer that really quick. I highly suggest checking out the works from Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, because he has a lot of information about histamine and how you can actually overcome the histamine reaction in your food. But it's a process, obviously, but check out Dr. Will Bulsiewicz and his fiber fueled stuff, because he's in leading gastroenterologist in gut studies and the new gut science that's coming out. So check him out, because he's got some really, really valuable stuff on food intolerances and histamine reactions.
Definitely. Very.
And it can be overcome for sure.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else want to come on here and ask one question and not take over my life? Hit me up in the box. Just send a request. Let's see. He was speaking facts, someone says. He was amazing. Yes, but he was also taking over Miss Nicole's life. We're just trying to ask, give other people a chance to ask questions. How long? Oh, somebody said, how long do we have to listen to him?
Yeah, his name here, maybe I'll put it in the chat here. Maybe I'll just put in fiber fueled. Look up fiber fueled. If I can type here. Fiber fueled.
I don't have the swipe. So it's
that's.
Well, while we're waiting for someone, are you putting in the chat?
Yeah, there we go. Fiber fueled is the name of his book. And if you type in fiber fueled, you'll find him. It's the Gut Health MD on Instagram, and he's fantastic in so many ways. And that's what he does, is he helps people with food intolerances and gut dysbiosis. And we're in a really exciting era right now in our evolutionary stage, where we're learning so much as a population, if we tap into the information about gut health and how we can, really kind of improve our gut health. And of course, the whole premise is, eating more fiber. And in a way, it's interesting how the fiber isn't even talked about. It's like protein, carbs, and fats. And we're not even talking about fiber, which is also an incredibly important macronutrient for our gut bugs, the microbiome that we have living in our colon. And
our microbiome is considered the forgotten organ. We don't really know much about it right now, and we're just learning a lot more, and how important fiber is and how important fiber variety is for our microbiome. Our microbiome provides us 99.5% of our genome.
Isn't that crazy?
So we're really only 0.5% human genetics.
That is incredible. If you believe that this is, these are some of the newer sciences. We're made of more microbial life forms and microbial bacteria than we are human DNA cells. That's incredible. So it's who's really running the show? right? Like, and of course, the healthier our gut is, the healthier our mind is. Not to say that, you know, our mind is very powerful. Like Homeboy was saying, you know, we want to pray over stuff. You want to bless your water. Heck yeah. That has been proven to show with the intention put in there to change the molecular structure of the water molecule. They've taken pictures of it. I mean, it's fascinating stuff. But if you don't believe it, maybe it wouldn't work, right? The placebo kind of concept. But what's interesting though is, yeah, we got to cut out the animal products, man. Like we're seeing this.
Yeah.
And of course, moderation. Like we're not eating.
Moderation.
You know, I mean, if people are, you know, there's other countries that can't eat meat, you know, the amount of meat that we eat or have access to 3 times a day. And the centurions, they may be only eating like, you know, 2-3 fingers worth of a palm worth of actual flesh once a week, right? It's like, it's interesting. Of course, I mean, whatever. It's so crazy with diet because diet is so controversial. It's like religion or politics in so many ways, right?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people with some really intense beliefs and theories out there, and they can get really worked up about it and that kind of thing. But when it boils down to it, it's like, what feels right for you? And for us, we are ethically vegan, so there's absolutely no way in the world, no matter what anyone says, that we would eat an animal or animal products. Like, it's just not within our moral realm to do that. So for us, but that's what resonates with us, and we don't want to contribute to that or do anything that would harm an animal knowingly, right? So that's why we make that choice. And then we choose raw because we love raw. We don't do it because we have to. We don't do it because anyone's telling us we need to.
And it just makes sense. Like if we were, you know, because it's interesting way to say, oh, you know, if we could just go back to our ancestral ways or whatever. And of course, you know, our ancestors probably only, I mean, very possibly there are certain people that have lived, you know, hundreds of years, but there was also a point in time where people were only living like 35 or 40 years, right? So it's interesting how the food that we choose to eat, you know, plays a massive role in how we feel, our gut health, our mental health. And of course, then, you know, if everything is energy, that's the part that's interesting, because you had said, like, you know, whatever feels good to us, but to someone it might feel good to eat flesh of an animal. True, but at the same time, you know, you've got to, unless you're eating it raw, but even then you're getting, you know, there it is.
We still have laws in this universe, right?
You're
There's
getting
still
saturated
things that
fats,
happen,
the cholesterols,
to our bodies when we consume those things. And it's like, we can't think that away.
You can't think it away.
It's just, that's fact,
can't
right?
pray it away.
The thing is with the prayer, and I've mentioned this many times in some of my YouTube videos and reels and stuff, the prayer aspect really helps with being gratitude,
Grateful,
right?
Yeah.
Obviously. And then however you pray is great. But when it comes to digestion, when you sit down and you take a minute to just calm your body, especially after a stressful day or a stressful few hours, if you can take that time to just calm down before you eat, and prayer is a great way to do that, it actually helps you digest your food better. Because if you go into a meal rushed and stressed, you're probably not going to digest as well as otherwise. So that's another reason why prayer is really good.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, I'm going to bring it to a close because I don't want to keep you too long. It's coming up on an hour, or it might be an hour. I do want you to talk, because I forgot to ask you this in the beginning. I know you talked about one of the cookbooks, but y'all got about 100,000 between the both of y'all. So talk a little bit about your cookbooks. But before you do that, I want to address someone said, Freaky Bionic said, was just thinking about the gut. I've been feeling anxious and a bit depressed, and it just dropped in me that I need to clean my gut for mental and emotional health. Yes, amen to that. Yeah. So it sounds like what you guys are saying is reaching people and touching people and helping people to realize some things they need to change. So that's good. That's what we're here about. That's why I'm doing this, because I like people. I don't know everything, right? But I know people like Nate and Lissa who do know a lot of things, and they know more than me, right? And then the next person might know more than them, but we're all sharing. We're all allowing each other to share.
Yeah.
And we all learn every day. We all learn something new every day, right? So I'm glad that you were listening, Freaky Bionic, and you are going to have some transformation going on in your life.
Yeah, I wanted to
Now,
really quickly touch on that really quick. When you feed your gut fiber, whole fiber, it actually feeds the gut and they grow and they provide you 90% of your serotonin, which is your happy hormone. So fiber is key to help build the microbiome so that you can feel happier because they provide that happy hormone for you.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We keep them.
it'll help you stay regular.
Yeah, there you go.
And then of course, yeah, it's amazing, like what they're producing, the short chain fatty acids, right? And the whole symbiotic relationship between that fiber and the microbiome and how it like even helps people repair their gut. But of course, in the beginning, people who don't eat a lot of fiber, like Dr. Will say, like start slow, like low amounts. You don't just go into the gym and bench press 300 pounds. You're going to start off with the bar first, right? So that would be like, if you don't eat a lot of fiber, you're eating a lot of processed foods, and lots of animal products, start eating more fiber, little bits at a time, like because we eat these massive salads, like same with you, Nicole. I bet a lot of people in your world too wouldn't be able to eat that kind of salad. They would be so uncomfortable because they're not used to eating that much fiber because they haven't built that gut microbiome.
But that doesn't mean that the food isn't human food. I've heard that quite often, that because if somebody eats a big salad full of variety, that it's not human food. I don't agree with that. I believe that it is human food. It's our guts that are in a dysbiotic state that doesn't allow for us to eat that amount, but it can be changed and we can grow. And someone's asking what's the best food to start with? Any plants.
Anything.
Just start adding plants and listen to your body and start slow with things that might give you gas right off the bat. Like if you're eating like 2 cups of broccoli and you get gas from that, move it down to like a 1/4 cup or even 2 tablespoons. And do that more often. Start with smaller amounts instead of massive amounts.
We still have gas, you guys.
Gas is a
part of life.
Yeah.
It's never going to go away completely.
Gas
it is what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the fermenting. That's that good short chain fatty acids being created, the fermentation process of these vegetables. And then what's interesting too is you can get your stools tested. You can get your microbiome tested to see where exactly your diversity is. And then you check it like, every 6 months or once a year. And that's really fascinating. These are like newer studies, but this is a really exciting stuff. We can actually see, how to alter our gut microbiome, what we need to add more of, and maybe what's some stuff that we should start to not eliminate, but more maybe like tone down on. Right? Like we all know we should tone down on processed foods and fried foods, stuff out of the box. Yeah. So yeah. But it's fun. The whole thing should just be fun. Life should be fun. God didn't make it hard. All the nutrients that we need, all 9 essential amino acids, these amino acids that we cannot produce on our own can be found in the plant kingdom. Proven 100% time and time again by science. But what's interesting is there's not very much money to be made on keeping people sick, right? And I mean, by having people be healthy. I'm sorry. There's not much.
Right. I know. And that's why the doctors don't recommend, the diet change most of the time. They just want to give you.
Was just here.
They want to give you pills.
Right. Nicole, we just had a friend who was here a moment ago, and she went to the doctor. And they're like, you're going to have to be on high blood pressure medication for the rest of your life. And she's all, can't I just change my diet? And they're like, it won't matter. You're going to have to be on the blood pressure medication. And she had to kind of like sneak out. She had to like pull some tricks and like bounce because they were trying to scare her into. And so she's been raw for the week. She's dropped some weight. And she's like, man, if I just, and what's incredible is thinking about weight. A gallon of water or a gallon of milk, we all know what a gallon looks like, is a little over 8 pounds. So if you're, say, 16 pounds overweight, that's 2 gallons that you're carrying around with you. Some people need to drop 40 pounds, right? Because it creeps up year after year. You eat, silly stuff, cupcakes and, the processed foods. Imagine that's 5 gallons. 40 pounds is 5-gallon jugs. And that is just so incredible how the doctors and stuff, they want to push them pills, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't need that if we just go back to Mother Nature. Like dude said, Mother Nature knows best. Yeah.
Amen.
And then of course that's why we create the books.
Yeah.
That's why Alyssa created the books.
Talk to me about your books. Talk to me about your books.
Okay, so
talk to me about
all
your
right,
books.
so here's the burger book. Now, all of these books, these are the print versions that you can get off Amazon, but we have digital versions that are way less money, and there's 40% off right now. The code is rawfood40, so if anyone wanted to get the digital versions, that's the best way to do it. But these are the print versions that you can get on Amazon. So we've got the burger book.
Look at that picture.
Wow.
That's a raw vegan burger.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Like,
that looks
now, of course, it's meant to look like some of the fast food style stuff, but it's going to be better than that because it's all made in the dehydrator and it's all raw. You know,
And it's plants.
And it's plants. It's all plants. There's no saturated fat. There's no cholesterol. And that's what's fun, right? So the burger book is a great one. And then, of course, we're coming up on winter time. So we've got the soups, stews, and curries. This is another really cool book. And these are all raw, just the same. Everything that we create, all of our books are all raw. No oil, no salt. And it's to be fun. Let's have fun with it, right?
Yeah, and then we have 2 meal plans here. I've got Meal Plan Volume 2, and then Meal Plan Volume 3. I recommend Volume 3 for newbies because there's no dehydrator required, and I don't have any tree nuts in here. So those were 2 requests that I had back in the day. They wanted no nuts because people had allergies, and a lot of people don't have a dehydrator. So that's what this one is.
It's a great one.
This is a good one for beginners.
And we still tap into these books every single day. Because we're like, what should we have for dinner tonight? And we'll just flip to a page and we're like, okay, I guess that's what we're having for dinner tonight.
You guys are great. I'm so lazy when it comes. I have your book, Lissa. I read the book and it's awesome. I love it. 52.
Oh yeah. 52.
What's it called? 52 to a New You?
New You. Yeah, it's only available digitally. Like I don't have a version of it, but yeah, that was the very first ebook I ever released.
And that's tricky too.
I love that one. I printed it. It's all like, in paper in my room, but I love that one too. That was your first book, you said?
The biggest thing is a lot of us are guilty of that too. We buy a book with good intentions and we read it, but we don't implement the strategies that are, relayed in the book. But, it's always there. Right?
I think we're all guilty of that.
We're all guilty of that. Yeah, we read the book.
Now, did that one have recipes in it? Because
there were.
It did. Okay.
Yeah, there were 8 recipes.
That's my problem. I'm a person. I'll buy a book. And then I read the what do you call it when you're breaking down how to transition basically. I read that part, right? But when it comes to the recipes, I'm so lazy. I'm a work in progress.
That's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
We all are.
Pick a day next week and make a recipe.
Yeah, or just on the weekend.
I know. I should.
The thing that's interesting.
Do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, right?
You got to do it to it. The thing that's a trip, Nicole, like when I first started, I had her book and I did the same thing. I printed it out because I had a couple friends at work go raw with me. I just brought my blender to work and I just made it happen. And once I started to do it, I was like, wow, this is so fast. Like I made a fresh salad and a fresh dressing faster than it took my friends to go to the taco truck across the street or down to the hospital cafeteria because I was working at the hospital at the time. I made a fresh salad, super beautiful. And, people would come in, they'd be like, oh my gosh, it smells so good. It smells like cucumber in here. Faster than it took for them to go get their sack lunch. So it really doesn't take long, but it's like the recalibration. We got to retrain ourselves. And once you find that, once you do it, like it doesn't take too long. But there are recipes that we have that do take some time, like just like if you were to make some homemade lasagna, you're going to put some love into it. You got to like boil the noodles and make the sauce and cheese and whatever, right? So then we got dude food. And this is one of my books here. This is basically like choose your own adventure raw vegan meal plan. Those choose your own adventures. So it's basically like there's not like any set days But same thing, like, you know, different breakfast ideas, different lunch ideas. I've even got a couple of recipes in here how to start fermenting, like how to make sauerkraut, how to make kimchi. I've got a brand new recipe in here. So there's some fun stuff in here.
Ooh, and then we have the nice cream book that we wrote together.
And this has our love story in it.
Oh, I love you guys' story.
Aww.
You guys, I interviewed them. I forgot if it was you that told the story or you, Nate, but it's on either episode 1 or 3 of season 1. I love their stories.
Funny that I opened it to this one because we've been hooked on this one.
The Raspberry Blast.
Yeah, Raspberry
Well, you probably opened it because I've been opening it up. 'Cause see, once you create the recipe, you can't remember like hundreds. Like we have over 700 recipes. So we use our books. Like we wrote these books because we're like we need to write these recipes down.
Look at this one.
Yeah, and then of
like
course
it's falling apart.
And then of course,
wow.
Yeah,
and it's great that you take all the pictures for your own book too, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's so cool that you don't have to go hire someone to do all that. Do your own.
And maybe there's other
that makes it even more special.
Maybe there's other people who are in on this live that are, you know, crafty and creative, and they've got some ideas. Like this is stuff that'll be around forever. Like the books don't ever die, right? Like, and this can very potentially help someone, even if you're eating just one raw meal or one raw meal a week. That's better than not eating any raw meals, right? And you don't have to be a vegan. You don't have to be plant-based. You don't have to be a vegetarian to eat more raw food. Like we all eat some, you know, salsa and guacamole. That's raw, right? Or an apple. You know, apples are raw. But this is one of my favorites: plant-based dips and dressings.
Oh, that's a good one because
this one has the cashew cheese.
That'll make or break your meal.
This, oh my God. So this one here is you've got your dressings. There's different condiments in there like mustard, ketchup, barbecue sauce, how to condense some sweet chili style sauce, and the cheese, the cashew cheese, fermenting and making your own cashew cheese, making hummus. There's Brazil nut Parmesan. There's some amazing, this is my favorite book. This is my book. Actually, let me see here. Yeah, look, she even signed it before we were married here.
Oh,
yeah, that was when
she's like, that
was before we started dating.
You guys want to hear? I'll share. She said, "Dear Snake, I'm beyond blessed to call you friend. I was in the friend zone."
That's cute.
But she's like, "I'm proud of you for taking your health to the next level and being an inspiration to so many, especially your boys, because I've got 2 sons. I'll see your BA self on Instagram and at the Woodstock Fruit Festival." This is when we were just starting to talk.
Yeah.
And she messaged me and was like, "Hey, I've got a couple different cover ideas for my book." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like freaking out at work. I'm like, "You guys, Raw Food Romance is asking me what I think her next cover should be on her book." It was so incredible. So incredible.
You guys. Wait, you guys are coming up on either you just had an anniversary, because I remember, it's kind of close to mine, or you guys are like, when's your anniversary?
August 24th.
Right, you just had one.
Yeah.
Your third
year.
Right, because I remember, I just had mine in October 4th. So we were like about a year, we got married about a year apart.
Oh, so awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope. I love you guys.
Actually, we've got another book that isn't in print yet. We actually got a couple books.
We have a bunch of books actually
that aren't in print.
How many books do you have?
Total, I believe there's 19.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, not all of them are recipe books, but you guys, if you want to see all the ebooks, all 19 ebooks, and I think there's only about 8 print versions on Amazon. The reason why I don't have all of them on Amazon is because some of them are small and we can't get them into like book format. Like the taco, we have a taco ebook.
Ooh, it's a good one.
But it's only 12 recipes.
Ooh.
It's 12 recipes to make awesome tacos, raw tacos.
Anybody listening out there, you can get that.
That's all you need.
If you get the taco book, all the ebooks and everything are both of our courses. I've got a course on teaching you how to sprout, how to grow microgreens, and how to ferment vegetables. Everything that we have is 40% off.
Except the print versions.
Except for the print versions, because it's through Amazon and they rule the world and all that stuff, right? So, but whatever the case is, this is the last one, the raw winter book. And look at this dessert.
Ooh, winter's coming up. Wait, is this winter yet? This is winter, huh?
December 21st will be winter.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
So
That's the perfect book.
those are great books, and like I said, man, we tap into these books every day, and I know there's a lot of people. Some people message. They're like, "I've had your book for 3 years, 5 years, and I just now made the first recipe, and oh my God, why'd I wait so long?" Right?
That's gonna be me. That's gonna be
Come
me.
on, Nicole.
I'm all
Come
I'm all 2.5 years later.
You have to tag me when you make something.
Yeah.
I want to see.
I definitely, of course, I definitely will. I might do it within the next few weeks. I might just come on, Nicole, just do it.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you. Everybody, we lost a couple people because the time, but for those that are gonna watch later, you guys go check their pages out. First of all, their pages are just dynamic and perfect and flawless and just perfection. Okay.
We're trying to inspire the people, right?
Yeah.
Just like you, Nicole.
Yeah.
We're doing the work, right? Just like you.
I'm trying.
Hey,
You're doing great.
you're doing awesome.
Oh, thank you. You guys go to their website, go to their bio. You guys have all your links in your bio, right?
Yeah.
To all their cookbooks, everything is in there. You guys go check out some of their cookbooks, especially the ebooks. If you're on a budget, get the ones that are on the ebook, 40% off, okay? For those of you who are balling, go on and get you a hard copy, okay? No, really though, thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys follow them. You guys keep doing what you're doing. I love it. I love y'all.
It's our passion.
I can't wait to meet you guys in person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to make a little trip.
That's right. Come to Vegas.
Make a
Come
little,
to Vegas.
Come on.
yeah. We're gonna go to lunch or something.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for taking this evening. I know you guys are busy butts and always doing something, and you took the time to talk to little old me. No, I'm sorry.
We love
We
you.
love you. Your energy is fire.
Love you.
Your energy is fire.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all your information you gave tonight, all your knowledge, and just being an inspiration as you always are. And thank you those that watched. Thank you those that are going to watch. Make sure you share this so that we can reach as many people. People always need to hear the message, right? Health, right? Health. Yeah. And we can never be perfect, but we just strive to do the best you can.
Right.
That's
right.
So thank you guys for watching. And I always want to end up by saying you are all blessed and you're highly favored.
Right.
I love
You're
it.
all
I love it.
Yes. You are all destined for greatness. And when I'm saying this to you guys, I'm also saying this to myself because I need to encourage myself sometimes too. You're all destined for greatness. Don't let anything or anyone steal your joy. And God bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Love
Catch me next Wednesday. Thank you, Nate and Lissa.
You're welcome.
You guys, love y'all, and I'll see you on the gram.
See you on the gram.
See you on the gram.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.